So Joe Biden gives a speech that some people are calling a politically divisive speech. Obviously, it depends on what side of the aisle you're on. Democrats look at it as him being aggressive, him taking it to these MAGA Republicans and these election deniers and people that are a threat to democracy. I don't know who in that White House staff decided that, hey, it would be a good idea to use red in the background, the Marines back there. I mean, you're over here calling people fascists, and yet you're giving this kind of the optics are reminiscent of, Nazi Germany to a certain extent. I mean, there's people that are calling it that, but I mean, you can't help it when you notice that and you look and you think, man, first thing that comes to your mind is like Third Reich. I'm just saying. So let's get into his speech. I'm going to give you bits and pieces of it and kind of show you different clips, and we're going to talk about it. The basis of his whole argument is basically because they deny the 2020 election results, that Donald Trump lost the election and they think that it was stolen, that they are a threat to democracy. And because of that, they need to be stopped, and they are the biggest domestic threat. So I'm going to play you bits and pieces, and we're going to talk about it. Here's the first one.
And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it. Democracy cannot survive when one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election. Either they win or they were cheated.
There you have it. He's basically saying because they deny the election results, they are a threat to democracy. This is true to a certain extent, and I've been saying this from the beginning, that once one side starts to deny the election results and say that it was stolen, that it's always going to be the narrative. It doesn't matter what happens. Watch in November coming up, whoever loses, they're going to say they were cheated. But why is that? Here's my thing. I get exactly what he's saying, and I agree with what he's saying to a certain extent, that once we start to deny election results, once we start to question it, then what happens is that the people's faith in the electoral process is undermined. And when the people's faith in the electoral process is undermined, then you no longer have free and fair elections, because the other side is going to cast doubt whenever they lose, right? They're going to say that we were cheated, yada, 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 all this other stuff. It was rigged. It was, fraudulent votes, voter fraud, all these different things happen, right? That's always going to be the case. But who started that? See, here's my thing, President Biden and the Democratic Party. I get what you're saying, but you conveniently leave out the fact that you did the same thing. In 2016, and even before that, you questioned the electoral process. And once you started questioning the electoral process, the floodgates were open. Whoever loses any type of political campaign from here on out, they're going to question the election results. I'm going to play this clip right now of Democrats doing the exact same thing.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear. It's clear. And I say that publicly. It's clear.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
He knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did.
Votes remain to be counted. There are voices that were waiting to be heard.
And I will not concede.
And I respect where you're coming from, and I respect the issues that you're raising. You're not answering the question. Do you think it was... You're not using the word legitimate.
There are still legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections and of ensuring the principle of one person, one vote.
I agree with tens of millions of Americans who are very worried that when they cast the ballot on an electronic voting machine, that there is no paper trail to record that vote.
Not a single one of them was banned from social media, had their voices silenced or censored. Not a single one of them. Everybody was allowed to say this. Hillary Clinton has been saying this since she lost in 2016, that it was stolen from her, and that's fine. It's okay. See, this is the problem that I have. It's the hypocrisy. It's the contradiction. It's the fact that when it's their side, then it's bad. But when it happens to you, it's okay. Everybody understands. See, this is the problem. I don't have a problem with anybody saying that, hey, you saying that the election was stolen is going to undermine our democratic process. I don't have any problem with that because it's true. Once you start saying that, you open up the floodgates. But remember, Joe Biden, remember Kamala Harris, remember Nancy Pelosi, remember Stacey Abrams. You guys said it first. You guys have been saying it. Both sides have been saying it. They've been playing this game, and then whoever comes into power, and right now it happens to be the Democrats, they're going to bring the hammer down on anybody that questions their power and how they got there. That's what's going on. So if you want to talk about fascism, you want to talk about authoritarianism, you want to talk about tyranny, well, how about the side that's in power, that's using that power to crush their political opponents? That's exactly what's going on. Come on, man, miss me with all that. Like, oh, the MAGA Republic, they are a threat and this and this and that. Yeah, we can say that what they're doing is undermining the process, but at the same time, you did it too. There's more contradictions in all this. He went on to talk about political violence. January 6th, you're using political violence as a tool to gain political power. Let's not act like you didn't do the same thing. Please, here's the speech.
So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever.
Let me play this clip.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
Nothing does not happen, then we know that we've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
No, I wish you were in high school. I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
It goes both ways. What else can I say? It goes both ways. But right now, you have power. So when it's he who has power is going to dictate what's right and what's wrong. You know, it's the victors that define history. The victors are the ones that tell the story, and that's what you're doing. You're telling the story. But people like me and people that are objective and people that see what's going on, we're not going to let you forget what you said. You've done the same thing. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You've done this all the time. This is the same rhetoric over and over and over again. Joe Biden said the same thing. He's open for debate. Here he is right here saying that.
Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent.
Yet you silence anybody that disagrees with you. You silence anybody that comes in opposition. Anybody that questions anything about the 2020 election, you silence them. Anybody that questions anything about COVID policy, you silence them. Anybody that questions vaccine mandates and all these different other kind of oppressive measures that you've used, you silence them. You don't want debate. You want debate on your terms. You want to be able to say, yeah, let's sit down and let's talk, but let's not talk about this because that's been decided. We said so because we're in power. That's the problem here. You don't care about debate. Let's not act like we want to have everybody sit down and bring your side of the argument and their side of the argument and let's meet in the middle. That's not what we're talking about. This is what we call authoritarianism. This is what we call fascism. This is exactly what it is. You are cracking down on any type of dissent. And it all comes down to one thing. They're trying to make you pick. See, it's not about Trump. It's not about MAGA Republicans. It's basically about globalism and the people that want to maintain national sovereignty. You can call them nationalists. You can call them America First, whatever you want to say. But that's what it comes down to. Biden pretty much lays it out here in this last clip when he says that we're at a fork in the road. He's telling people and giving everybody an ultimatum. Pick what side you're going to be on. Are you going to be on the globalist agenda where we just give in to this whole great reset, where we give into this whole this economic restructuring of society, where we give into control, we give into the loss of our freedom and our rights? Or are you going to be with the other side. The other side is the bad side. The other side is the side that doesn't want freedom, doesn't want liberty, that they want to maintain national sovereignty. I don't know about you, but that sounds more like freedom to me. Here's what he says.
I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote.
To me, he's given an ultimatum. He's basically saying that you have no choice. That whole agenda of trying to maintain your individuality, individual national sovereignty or anything like that is out the door, because that's what it stands for. Listen to me, and I'm going to say this, and this might anger people, but in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, they don't want to get rid of Donald Trump. The worst thing that could possibly happen is that Donald Trump is not around. They need Donald Trump, right? And this is what leads me to believe, and a lot of people have been questioning this and talking about it, that Donald Trump has flip sides, right? He plays a role in this, right? He's the one that brought in Operation Warp Speed for the vaccine and all the oppressive measures that came with it. Remember, at one point he was talking about therapeutics. Now he's talking about how great the vaccine is. In my opinion, you need Donald Trump, because if Donald Trump doesn't exist, then you don't exist. You're not on their radar. They want to know who you are. And the only way they find out who you are is they have a candidate of somebody, some type of figure that everybody flocks to. And then you can figure out who everybody is. But if he doesn't exist, then we just exist in our homes. Now they have to try to find us. They have to see where we're at. But Donald Trump brings out the people that aren't with the agenda. That's what it's all about. They want to know who's not going to comply. The vaccine was a way of doing that, right? This election of 2020 is a way of doing that, but Donald Trump is the centerpiece to all this. He's the one. I've said this before. If he flipped sides, if he took the deal, if he got behind whatever this agenda is that's going on, if he got with it, it's not like he's going to come out and tell you. He's not going to make an announcement and say it at one of his rallies like, hey, guess what, guys? It ain't America first no more. It's globalism first. It's Klaus Schwab first. It's World Economic Forum first. He's not going to say that. He's going to keep doing what he's doing because that's the role that he plays. I'm sorry, but that's just how I see it, right? I understand how politics works, and I understand that it's not always what you see. It's always the move behind it. And I'll say this over and over and over again. It's think 5-6 moves ahead. Yeah, it sounds great, but you need somebody like him. They love him. All the Democrats wouldn't be anything without Donald Trump, and this is why they're able to give this speech, right? Without Donald Trump, there is no speech like this. Then we have to talk about real issues. We have to talk about the economy. We have to talk about the devaluation of the dollar. We have to talk about the banking system. We have to talk about the Federal Reserve. We have to talk about the things that are really, really oppressing us and taking away our freedom and our rights and making our lives worse. But instead, we can focus on MAGA Republicans, the domestic terrorism, the threat to democracy, all this other stuff that sounds good in a clip, but really has no meaning in our lives. And all that is possible because of a figure like Donald Trump. If you like this channel, if you like what's being said, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, get it out there. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and we can have that debate going back and forth. I'm not like these other people. I like to have the debate. I like to talk about it. You might disagree with me. That's fine too. We can talk about it. I'm always open to it, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be the first to admit it. I always want to be right. And that means even if my position is wrong, I want to get it to the right side. Till then, my name is Jay, No Spoon Podcast.